What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and if you guys have been on the channel for a while, you guys know that I just absolutely love these. But we're talking about OEM JDM parts and why we love them just so much. Oodles of love when it comes to these things, and I'm just hyped for it. As you guys know, I have a plethora of JDM parts on the car already. Rear spats, mirrors, braces under the car. Anything JDM I can get my hands on, I like to. They're generally out of stock, so I'm generally waiting a while to be able to get these parts because they're fun, they're cool, and you know, who doesn't love some? So we're gonna jump into it today. We're gonna run through the plethora, just a plethora of points of why these parts are just fantastic and why we love these so much. I'm excited. So let's get this camera moved, let's jump into it, and let's start talking about some JDM parts. So before we just openly jump into talking about like all these good JDM goodies right here and whatnot, first I want to talk about kind of the differences between the markets. So generally in this video I'm only going to refer to USDM and JDM when it comes to these. There are other markets which I believe, or I don't know the abbreviations for them, but there's like Australia, Europe. I don't think Canada has one. I think they fall under USDM, but I'm not entirely sure on that one. I know there's some Canadians on here that watch, so if you guys want to verify that in the comments, that'd be awesome. I'm not quite sure what your guys' market is referred to. However, so when it comes to these, you got, I'm only going to be taught, like I said, JDM and USDM. So JDM is going to stand for Japanese domestic market, while USDM is going to stand for United States domestic market. Now, when it comes to these different markets, manufacturers tend to put different parts on cars. So when it comes to Japanese cars, they tend to keep all the good parts in Japan, which we still have access to when it comes to getting these parts. We just have to go through other vendors. We have to import them. We have to go through these other ways to get them, and they're kind of exclusive on some of the more rare side ones. Some of the more generally produced ones that like Rally Sport Direct, the Mod Garage, Subi Speed Carry, they generally just import over, but they normally just have a limited stock on them, and they're always on back order. There's a couple parts that I've been waiting to pick up for a while, but every time I go to order them, it's like 99+ day back order, 120 day plus back order, and I don't want to wait. I'm impatient. I want my parts and I want them now. So generally when I see them pop up and they are in stock, I order them. This is a rear subframe STI JDM brace that I've been waiting on for a couple months actually. And it finally came back in stock. This was the last one they had and I wanted to snag it. So, I mean, who doesn't love fun JDM parts? But anyways, back to USDM and JDM. So when it comes to like Subarus like this, there's some minor differences between how they make the cars in Japan and the United States. So for example, in the United States cars that we recently did, we swapped the mirrors out on my car for some good JDM ones with the turn signals integrated. They got the anti-glare. I showed you guys the differences between the USDM and the JDM ones. And the JDM ones, they have more features. They look better in my opinion. Some of you might think that the USDM ones look better. I know there are some people out there who prefer the USDM parts to the JDM parts, but for me personally, I love JDM parts. They have more, like I said, more features. They look better. I think they perform better also. That's just, well, they do perform better since they get stuff like this and we don't. But generally speaking, they look so much better. Another example is the grills on these cars. I'll show you guys my grill here in a minute. I have the JDM grill in my car versus the USDM one, and I'll post like a little picture as we're talking about it, but we'll get to that one in a minute. I got the rear spats on there and just all these good JDM components that we don't generally get in the United States, and it just makes us happy and excited. Who doesn't love them? Ooh. We'll move this camera. We'll take a look over at my grill. I'll show you guys kind of the JDM grill, so that way you guys can get a little bit of a difference in vision, I guess, on the USDM versus JDM one. So we'll hop over, take a look at that, and then we'll keep going on this. Ooh. So this is the JDM grill. Mine came with the USDM, but I ended up buying this one through Rally Sport. So the JDM grill, it doesn't have the cuts halfway through it like the USDM one does, and it looks a lot better. Now with that, there's also other components that we swapped over, like these mirrors that we did recently, where when you hit the button, they do the thing, as well as like the Alcantara full steering wheel and whatnot, all the JDM components, the trim and everything. All the JDM stuff just looks a lot better in my opinion versus the USDM stuff, because we always get, I feel like it's the cheaper materials. So what exactly are the JDM parts that we keep talking about and referring to? So with the JDM parts, kind of like the subframe brace and everything that we just talked about, they generally come pretty standard on all of the Japanese models cars versus the USDM ones. We get some of the more basic stuff like the STI short shifter, I think that's it. Honestly, I mean, we don't even get the cool side badges. They put the cool side badges on what the Hyper Blue, the S209 got its own, which the S209 is also a perfect example of just a whole plethora of JDM goodies. When you look in there, you pop the hood, you can see like that flexible strut tower brace. I'm sure it comes with some of this like chassis bracing also, which generally the Japanese hold out for themselves, which, hey, give us some of the love. We appreciate the S209, but hey, hook up the US dealers with some of these parts. It'd be a lot nicer. But one big thing that JDM parts have over aftermarket parts is these OEM JDM parts, because they have a factory Subaru part number on them, they won't void your warranty. Have we found the mysterious way to get around the warranty question? Potentially. I'm not 100% sure on this, but because these have an OEM Subaru part number, I don't think they can void any warranty claim that you try to do. Most of these are just gonna be like aesthetics and suspension mods, but generally speaking, they have OEM part numbers, which means you can modify your car with OEM JDM parts and retain that factory warranty that you got. But I'm not 100% sure on that. I would verify with your dealers if that is something that you're considering, or if anybody does know 100% in the comments, just go ahead, drop it down there. Help everyone out here for those people who have those warranties but they don't want to void them. So what are some of the other reasons why we just love JDM parts? Now, I wouldn't call them necessarily rare, but there's like an exclusivity with them when you have some of these JDM parts, because you can't readily always buy them. They're generally on back order, like I was talking about. I've been waiting for a couple months to pick some up and just waiting for them to get back in stock. But I mean, they're cool parts because yes, they are more expensive than standard aftermarket parts, but they're cool. They're a cool little piece to add onto your car because not a lot of people run these JDM parts. So sometimes when you see them on cars, you're like, oh, what is that? Where can I get one? Overall, they're awesome. But like I was saying with that, the price of them is genuinely much higher. That subframe brace that I just showed you guys, I think I paid $350, $400 for that, where you can get like a Beat Rush one or a Cusco one for much cheaper, I think for around $150 to $200. So with that back order and that exclusivity that's kind of rare but not really, I mean, you're paying a little bit higher of a price for them, but they are OEM parts. But that's going to lead us into our next point, where the fit and the quality of them is always perfect. They are always perfect because they are developed and designed by STI in Japan, not necessarily Subaru, but STI in their headquarters. They're always perfect fit, they're always perfect finish, and I haven't ever gotten a single one with any defects. Their quality control on those parts is extremely high, just because they are coming from that OEM dealer. STI in Japan spends a lot of time going into R&D on these parts before they actually release them. They put them on their cars, they take them to the track, and they actually run them. I'm assuming that they use some of these parts on some of their track cars as they do in Japan for funsies. But they're awesome parts to have, and there's been a lot of R&D put into them to make them how they are and function just perfectly for street driving. Granted, I mean, if you are going like full out track cars, stripping everything, then I wouldn't necessarily suggest OEM JDM parts. I'd suggest something a lot more stiff that's kind of designed for the track, because these are more or less designed for like street use and just normal street driving. But with that, that's going to touch right into this next one. The quality of them compared to aftermarket parts. Like, we're not going to spend too much time on this, but the quality of these OEM JDM parts is always much higher than that of just aftermarket parts, with the exception of some companies out there who do a phenomenal job with their quality control and their standards of their aftermarket parts. But genuinely speaking, the OEM JDM parts are going to have to meet those manufacturers' those manufacturers' specifications, as well as some federal, and I think global? I don't know if there's global standards for these parts, or if it's just they have to meet Japanese federal law. They got to meet higher laws than OEM aftermarket parts do, or than aftermarket parts do, not OEM aftermarket parts. And like we talked about, this is going to be purely preference speaking on my behalf, but some of you, I have a feeling most of you will agree with me, that the JDM parts just look better than USDM parts do. And there's just a wider variety of part options when you're getting these JDM parts. So with the USDM parts, like we kind of touched on, we kind of got the uglier grill, we got the worse side mirrors and whatnot, and a couple other things. Like, the list can just keep going on that. But the JDM parts genuinely just look better. They have a nicer finish. They're titanium, they're powder coated, and overall they're beautiful. absolutely beautiful. They give me like a weird JDM part boner thing. It's kind of awkward to say that, but you know, it's true. And one of the last things I want to touch on when it comes to this is US based. So most insurance companies, when it comes to an accident with your car, forbid that it does not happen. We don't want anyone to get into an accident. But because these are OEM parts and they do have an OEM part number, they generally fall under the price of the vehicle if it gets totaled out. I asked my insurance company about this. I had USAA, and they said as long as it has an OEM part number, it adds to the total value of the car. So if it were to get in an accident, that money would just go into the collateral of the car and then end up coming back to me when they cut me a check for whatever the difference is. As compared to aftermarket parts, when you're putting aftermarket parts on your car, there's generally a cap that your insurance companies are going to end up putting on that, generally $4,000 or $5,000, unless you've specified and given them a full build list of everything that's on your car, and then they'll set a certain rate for you. But these OEM parts, they don't hurt the bank if you were to get in an accident. Because they do have that OEM part number, they are considered part of the actual value of the car, which is a huge plus in my book, because we spend a lot of money on these things for some reason. We just love killing our bank accounts on these cars. But that's just a general overview of just JDM parts. Ooh, the exclusivity, the quality, the fitment, the finish, the look, the added benefit for the insurance thing. I mean, who doesn't like that? And the potential to not void your warranty but still modify your car, since it is an OEM Subaru part. It's got a part number. Use those OEM part numbers to your advantage. But regardless, the OEM JDM parts are always a great option to go. I mean, you're gonna have to pay to play with them because they are more expensive than some of their aftermarket competitors out there, but to me, they're worth it. To some of you guys, they might not be, they might be, I don't know, I can't make that decision for you, but personally speaking, I love JDM parts with a passion. But that's gonna wrap up this video, so let's get this camera back up on the bench, let's wrap it up and end this one out. All right, you guys, that is going to wrap up another one of why we love these JDM parts so much. Ooh. Hot topic for me. I love JDM parts, as we all know, and as we probably don't know now, but anyways, I appreciate all the time that you guys spend here on the channel with me. And as a reminder to everyone, we are doing that Parent Air Oil Separator giveaway. Go back to that which oil is the best oil mini-series initial video. How to do it's in the description below to get entered into that one. It's going to be an awesome one that's running until February 1st if you are wanting to get in on that. Ooh. It's gonna be great. I'm paying for it. You guys are getting it. I love the support from everyone here on the channel and the continued growth from everyone, and I just genuinely appreciate it and want to give back to you guys, as I've been saying. But, ooh, if you guys enjoyed the content of this video today, go ahead and turn that little thumbs up blue. Ooh, ooh. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, you guys can go ahead and do that over here today. Up there. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies. Woo!